Welcome to the From Concealment Podcast, the show for firearm enthusiasts who like to shoot, train, carry, and compete. Get ready for some shooting and sight, firearm and accessory reviews, and of course, insight on concealed carry. And now, broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the From Concealment studio, it's Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams.
Hey, Freedom Nation, this is Pete Mitchell.
And I'm Dan Sams.
And you are joining us for yet another phenomenal episode of the From Concealment Podcast.
Yeah, buddy. I'm excited. We're going to have fun. This is how we're on Facebook Live today, too, man.
We are. What's funny is I haven't done anything to our Facebook page. I think we have like 5 people who like it. You, me, and probably like 3 people who worked for me at one time or another.
That's awesome. It's those of us who are fans and the people we pay. And
we pay them to be fans.
Hey, payola is the way that you get ahead in this world. So I think we're off to a good start.
Apparently, so you could actually just call us a politician because we got to pay for our support.
Yeah, yeah.
We're buying votes, baby. We're buying likes.
Oh, so that makes us better than the politicians. That makes us the corporations behind. We're deep state.
Dude, so what do you think about everything that's been going on with the coronavirus? And actually, let me ask you this before we get to that. What do you think about everything with Obamagate?
I think it shows that like most political people, he was running a corrupt office, just like most of them do. I think we're seeing some real shady stuff that was going on, man.
Isn't it scary how much power that government has where they're like, so do we want to entrap him or do we want to get him to lie so we can get him on a perjury charge? What exactly do we want here?
Yeah. It's like we're gonna make the make up the charge before he's committed it, and then we're gonna get him to commit it. Yeah. So think about that. If they can do that to another political elite, they could do it to any of us a whole heck of a lot easier.
And they do it to us a whole heck of a lot easier.
Do it all the time, man. Actually, I was in a discussion with a friend of mine, a relatively new gun owner, and he was talking about he's a little bit scared to do an AR build because he's heard of all the ways where, like, well, if I don't build it this way or in this order, if I don't do this thing, that I can accidentally commit a felony. And I'm like, well, you might be surprised how many ways you can accidentally commit a firearms felony without even realizing it. And I'm
not even talking about firearms. The average American commits 3 felonies a day and doesn't know it.
Yeah, exactly right.
So that has nothing even to do with guns. Like, it don't matter. You're already there.
Yeah. Well, and we all know that, like, the way that the ATF handles some of these tends to be very heavy-handed. And he has a right to be a little bit nervous. So, very interesting stuff right there. So I was telling him, like, hey, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but yes, don't be crazy and don't post pictures of your build if you think you might accidentally be breaking a law.
Yeah, let me tell you, man, I don't generally post pictures of a build that I've got. I got to be careful here because I think I have one actually online that I got to go delete now that I think about it because it is a build. But I mean, really the way that you could screw up a build is if you buy a lower receiver in a free state, so not California, New York, New Jersey, and you buy it as a rifle lower receiver and you build out a pistol. Now you've got a serious issue.
Yeah.
Now, in California, you can't buy it as a pistol or as an other, as you can in some states. Yeah. In California, they're only sold as rifles because we have this stupid thing called the roster, and there's no AR pistols on the roster. So, anything we do. At one time, the only way you could really have an AR pistol in California is there is a single shot exemption. So if your AR was a single shot, you could do it. It couldn't be a semi-automatic. So there are guys at the gun show who sell single-shot ARs, and they have a nice little sign next to it that says, there is no law that says you can't convert your gun into a semi-automatic after you buy it. And I'm like, yeah, but this is California. I don't want to be the one that the Justice Department goes after because they will win and I will lose. Like, they don't need a law. They're going to make it up. We see that
exactly right.
every day.
All the time.
The other way that you could have, at one time, you could have an AR pistol in California was if you built it yourself from an 80%er. And then there's actually videos on the internet. So we had this thing where, okay, if you built your 80%er, you had to get it registered with the state because a new state law passed, even though that's unconstitutional. Doesn't matter. California couldn't care less about the Constitution. And so this guy took pictures because you had to take pictures, and you sent it in. And he sent it in, and they came and confiscated it because when he took the pictures of it as an AR pistol. To which the cops go, well, there's no AR pistols on the roster, therefore you can't have these. To which that begs the question, but wait a second, officer, no 80% pistol is on the roster. So are you confiscating all of those? No, you're not. Mm-hmm. So this is shady, to say the least.
Yeah, it's all shady, man. So I think we might have mentioned last week, what's been interesting to me is my, for the longest time, I have been, with most of my friends, I've been the guy that's on the further edge of saying like, well, hey, like I'm pointing out things like that. Like, isn't that strange? That's shady. And they would be like, don't worry about it. You know, they're not going to do anything bad to us. Just essentially trust your government. Right.
Right.
And I've always been the one that's like, well, no, like, and then I would be the guy that would point out even random stuff where like, why is it here in Ohio? You're not allowed to buy less than 6 chickens when you buy chickens. But in most of our cities or most of our towns, you're not allowed to own more than 4. So I'm like, I can't have chickens without breaking the law. Like I'm going to break one of those laws when I get chickens. And so it's stuff like that I'm like, isn't that just kind of nuts? And what's interesting to me in a lot of this COVID stuff where people are looking at some of the numbers and they're like, essentially like, I don't know who to believe. You know, you've got the Surgeon General says this thing. The nurse I know says the same thing he's saying. My governor says this other thing. And he's got somebody who's supposed to be an expert that's telling him this. And then you have somebody else that's like, well, hey, I think I should just be able to go out without wearing a mask. And people are like, you hate people. And they're like, well, wait a minute. I don't understand. Like, I mean, I'm trusting my nurse friend who treats COVID patients, and she's telling me no need for a mask. Right. And then I'm like, also, like, you know, Rand Paul, he's pretty for like, let's open this up. So like, we're in this weird world where I have to be. Yeah,
but Rand Paul doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not a doctor.
I love it when they say that.
And he hasn't had COVID-19 himself. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh, that's always the fun one when people forget that he is not only a senator, he's a surgeon and actually does know what he's talking about.
And had COVID-19.
Yeah.
And he's missing part of his lung because he got beat up by his neighbor.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Holy cow. I totally forgot about that in the context of the COVID, of him having COVID.
Yeah.
Here's what's bonkers to me. They're having this Greta Thunberg on this panel related to
Is that not the funniest thing in the world?
But like, let's just be real honest. Like that means this is not about any kind of medical facts. Like, let's just be honest. If you're putting her on this, she's a kid. I'm not hating on her, but she's not trained as a medical professional. You're gonna have her, but you're not gonna have a medical professional who has a counterpoint, right?
Why in the world is she even on it?
I've no, like, all political agenda, man. Like, I don't know how you can look at any of that as anything but a political agenda. Like, I just don't get it.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah. So related, man, did we hear, I mean, most of our listeners have probably already heard about this. I don't think we talked about it last week, but the cop who made the video about essentially asking his fellow law enforcement brothers to not enforce unconstitutional laws, he gets fired. Yep. And then on top of it, what's interesting, this is right around the time, maybe we did talk about this. I forget who I've talked to about this. Within a matter of like a week or so of that, the Parkland, the guy who hid behind the vehicles during the Parkland shooting, he's getting reinstated so he can get his pension. The cop who murdered the family guy in his in the hallway of the hotel, he's getting his pension. And so people are starting to look at this and be like, what is the deal here? You can murder somebody, you can hide and not do your job, but when you actually say, hey, we should honor the oath that we took, that's how you lose your job. And I looking at all those things, I don't know how you look at that and not think this is all a big mess. Like this isn't even America anymore. And when people aren't seeing that, I'm like, I just don't know what to say to you.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know if you saw it. I saw it this morning. It was really, really good. It was I believe it was in New Jersey, and I want to say it was happening today because it might have been live when I was watching it. No, it wasn't live. No, because someone said go to the 2-minute mark. So this gym decides to open in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And they're still on lockdown. So this is against the rules. They decided to open. There are tons of people outside the gym waiting to get in, wearing masks. They're all there. Cops show up. So cops start getting heckled right out of the gate, right? And finally, people who either they work there or they're part of it, they're like, just shut up, just respect them, listen to what they have to say. So the cops finally stands up there and he, starts off his little long talk, and then he finally gets to this part and he goes, just so we're all clear, you are all violating the stay-at-home order. And, someone starts to chime out, oh, what does that mean? Whatever. And they just all ignore him. And he goes, so have a nice day. Thank you. The cops leave. Like they just had to say it and then they wanted out. Like they didn't really care. And those were cops, at least I don't really respect that they went and tried to do that, but just still that they didn't care enough to do anything if you wanted to violate the stay at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm okay with I've seen the cops that show up because somebody's complaining about gunfire at a private range and they show up and just have fun shooting with them. I'm down with that kind of stuff. I actually respect the whole, we're not going to enforce this. I'm okay with going and saying, hey, just so you know, you're disobeying the order, but more power to you.
Yeah. That was basically what they said. It was absolutely hilarious because then everyone just erupts with, and the cops turn around and walk out.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Good for them, man. That's what.
But not enough good cops like that. Like that one who he served in the military. He served overseas. That's what he alluded to in his video. Mm-hmm. And supposedly his supervisors called him up and said, "Hey, just want you to know it's a great video. We totally agree." And then 4 hours later, you got to take it down. And he goes, "No, I can't. The whole point of it is you got to stand up for what's right." And so he gets fired.
Man. Which, by the way, if he wants to post something privately, he's allowed to do that anyway.
Yeah, but he was in the cop car. His full getup.
Yeah. But still, he was promoting the honor of their oath. But anyway, but did you see? I guess they raised something like $300,000.
Is that how much it finally went up to?
That's the last I checked, it was at $3K or $300K. So I thought that was pretty cool. So hopefully things work out.
He could get his job back because he could sue and get it. Yeah.
He should sue. Well,
if the Parkland cop can get his job back, then this cop should get his.
Yeah. No joke, man. This is, wild, wild times we are in, man. So can I talk to us a little bit more about quick response forces?
I would love to hear your thoughts on quick response forces.
So I'm gonna talk first of all. If you guys have been following on Instagram, QRF is the short for Quick Response Force, and there's a movement on Instagram and in some of the other platforms we won't mention here, just because we don't want to disrupt a good thing. But if you look around for Quick Response Force stuff, guys are essentially quickly calling to assemble quick response forces to, at the very minimum, just video what's going on in some of these situations. Now, we know, it's been misused a couple of times, or I know of maybe once, but the misuse doesn't cause any harm, actually, other than just annoying people. But the idea is something bad's about to go down. Maybe it's a civilian going to hurt another civilian, or it's cops enforcing an unconstitutional law. Or whatever else thing is going on that is either unconstitutional or wrong. And so you just call on the quick response force. And so the network kind of spreads the word, and as many people that can get there, mostly to video to just document what's going on. And so then you've got the guys who are screen recording and resharing, essentially to make sure that, like, whatever platform doesn't cut them off and we lose the signal. But quick response forces are doing a really good work. And I would say no matter where you're at on the political spectrum, hopefully you're for this. Quick response force with video cameras is one of the ways that you find out about cops abusing, a black dude for, it's because of a video. Sometimes we find out we're able to respond to something that's bad. So videos are helpful, man. Quick response forces are helpful. The other thing we're noticing is some of them are coming out in full kit and providing a deterrent from somebody doing something tyrannical or otherwise abusive. And so just encouraging, man, this is a great time to find out about your local QRF and figure out how you can help. So it's part of how the Michigan barbershop owner, who, if you follow some of these stories with some of the salons and the barbershops, every one of these that I've seen so far wasn't just trying to be a pain by opening up, which they shouldn't have to apologize for that anyway. We're talking about they did everything they could to get some type of financial help. They weren't able to get money through this or that. And so this was their last resort. They're like, I have to put food on the table. I have to go back to work. And so they did. And so in Michigan, poor 70-some-year-old guy, doing his thing there. 77. Quick response force kept him from getting arrested. Now, he lost his license. I don't know that there was anything to be done to stop that, but they kept him from getting arrested. It worked. And so we're seeing this in some of these other situations. They de-escalate. They tend to work. And so just going to make a little bit of a little public service announcements about QRFs. Find out about a local one or even a regional one and get yourself prepared. How you stand when you show up matters. I'm not in any way advocating any type of use of violence by any means at all. But man, if you stand up in an L-shaped formation, you're sending a message that, like, hey, you cannot mistreat people. We are standing here watching.
What's an L-shaped formation? I don't understand.
But so L-shape, if I use the technical term for it, I'm gonna bring some unwanted attention. But an L-shape situation is so let's say in Minecraft or in paintball. Now we're talking about this in a protest scenario, but in paintball, if you're going to ambush someone, and I'm not advocating, this is not an advocation for any kind of violence, but we're talking about a formation. But the easiest way to talk about it is in paintball, when you can do perpendicular ambushes, which for those people watching, it's where you are, your force is at, perpendicular to whoever's coming. That allows you to essentially respond paintball wise with whoever is coming at you. They're coming in a line and they have to break rank in order for them to respond. And it's just they're in a bad situation. The other thing you have is what's called a parallel ambush. And it's where you're parallel and you're from cover able to respond to your paintball, the other paintball team, right? An L shape is where you've got homeboys on both sides of the L, so that when someone's coming in, they're coming at you perpendicular, but also parallel. And so it puts them in a situation where they're virtually surrounded. Now, if in paintball, you can't actually surround them because then you risk shooting at the guys on the other side of your U shape, right? But an L shape provides a situation where you can respond. Well, similar with even to say we're filming, right? And we know something bad might be happening. And so we show up at the salon, right? Or the barbershop, and you do an L shape around the place so that when the cops show up, you're not filming this massive crowd and it's all confusing. You make sure that your backdrop is the camera is seeing cops abusing, right? So there's not there's this crowd of people behind them. You're treating it just like you would in paintball. You've got an L-shaped video ambush that you're not doing any violence here. L-shaped video ambush allows you to make sure you are documenting what's happening and they're surrounded without it being confusing with all the people, and you're filming the other dude, which hopefully we're not exactly trying to advertise who's there for the sake of cops. You're not filming the guy on the other side, right? L-shape as opposed to a circle. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing to have a circle, but L-shape. So that's what we call L-shaped formation, recommending that for your QRF. Plenty of stuff online if you want to look into tactics. A couple of good channels to follow. I might send you those if you want to put them in the show notes.
See, you guys in your free states, you get to do a lot more stuff than we can do here. So we don't have open carry in California. So all you're going to have is a bunch of guys standing around, and there will be no intimidation. Like the cops will just run you over, throw handcuffs on you, stick you in the back of the car, and take you to jail.
And that's it. Yeah.
They don't care. It's one of the reasons why, I definitely feel that we should have open carry in California, but we don't. So, that's just the way it is here.
Of course, Leroy said something about if you got enough people there in,
that's the only way you can save yourself in California.
Well, I'm just going to tell you what Leroy would say.
What would Leroy say?
I would never, ever say this. But if you watch some of the videos of the guys who did the arrest, I think this was at the bar.
Yes.
The cops are coming up against the guys. We're talking about if you were talking about a video, that would have been a perpendicular video ambush in paintball or Minecraft or whatever, right? They were not at all prepared for a parallel ambush in that kind of scenario. So if from concealment, right? If from concealment, some homeboys popped up just at the right time, you would be in a situation where they would not be able to respond. They'd be completely outflanked. And so you'd get all the video you needed in that situation. You'd be able to get out of there quickly. I'm pretty sure what Leroy would say to do. Got to be very careful with your video in the perpendicular and parallel formations, which together make your L shape.
I actually really wonder if there are enough people in California who would do anything. We are such a liberal state, and so many, blues as opposed to the reds, that I don't know that people would do anything.
Well, most of the time, the police force is going to show up with maybe 6 people, depending. So let's say that the dudes that they were arresting actually were in some type of a decoy fashion, and whatever they had was, maybe they have toy guns, or maybe they're not real, maybe they're just whatever.
But you do not take toy guns out in California.
Oh, that's right, you're not allowed to do that.
No, you'll just get shot. They won't even mess with you. They'll be like, I see a gun, you're on the ground.
I forgot about that, man. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like you got to understand, we just don't have freedoms here like you have in other states.
Yeah, and then
there are some states that are worse than ours. Yeah, that's the thing that would concern me the most is I don't know that there would be enough people who would support you, who would be there to help you.
I think you're right, man. So you'd be the lone dude standing out there trying to video a bad arrest, and you'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, that's really not fun.
No. Welcome to California.
Man, it stinks.
I'm just saying, it's just one of those things here in California. I think about somebody who was saying online, they're like, why are all these people taking guns to these protests? First of all, by the way, if you have a concealed carry weapons license in California, I believe it is against the law to have a concealed firearm on you at a protest. So I think you're not, because they're like, passions get inflamed, whatever. They don't want someone then pulling out a gun and shooting someone. So I believe that, like, you couldn't, even if you have a concealed carry weapons license in California, I don't think you could have your firearm on you at a protest.
That's interesting.
But somebody was asking, they're like, why are people even taking guns to these protests? They're just trying to inflame people or something like that. Or their line was, they're just trying to make a point.
Well, no, yes, they are.
And I go, well, they're probably taking guns with them the same reason that the police take guns with them, to make a point.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not doing anything different than what the cops do.
Keep in mind, Leroy has only been talking about this from a use of camera perspective to video, right? Yeah. Just making that really clear. But you're exactly right. In that situation,
I don't think going to shooting at this point would be so stupid, like in every level. Like we're not at the redcoats wall yet. I think if they go to forced vaccinations, then we might get pretty close. Like if someone tells me I have to put a foreign object in my body, I got a problem with that. I got a real problem with that.
Yeah, man.
But we're not at that point yet. I mean, we're not.
We're not. No, but we got some real shady stuff going down. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, are you still your Big Guns marketing email? Do you still get email at that one?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
All right, cool. I just got a message from Leroy. He wanted me to let you know that he wants to send you something. So he's probably gonna send you an email, but it's gonna be from Leroy. So you can watch out for his email. So good stuff, man. That's
just as long as we tell the NSA, because I think we all know the NSA now is reading all of our emails and our browser history and everything else.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No, didn't you see they passed that? They passed that last week.
Yeah. Oh, it's a mess, man.
Who needs the Fourth Amendment? We don't need a warrant.
It's just gone now, isn't it? It's just it.
And we let them.
People have no idea. And then I don't know if you saw the thing where they were posting like the Republicans that just were traitors. Actually, and they all are, but at least like we knew the Democrats were already traitors. We knew that most Republicans, some of these, like I think Trey Gowdy even voted for that freaking thing. Oh, Gowdy really? Used to be the guy. I double check. Don't hold me to that. Don't go calling Gowdy a tyrant until you've checked that. But I remember looking at the list, and I'm usually assuming that all of them are against us, whether they're red or blue. And even in this one, I'm like, oh, that guy voted for that. Yikes! It tells you everything you need to know.
Has the government ever given up power that they've taken? Like ever?
Not ever.
I can't think of any time.
I can ever think of.
Yeah.
No. Yep. So that's not going to go well. So I'm having to calm things down in my house, though, because I think my wife just got too nervous about it all. I mean, not nervous is not the right word, but like it's overwhelming when you start thinking about the realities of all this. And so she started thinking about like, she's like, what we've just watched erode in the last whatever amount of time. And then like, what's going to happen to our kids? What's it going to be like in another 10 years? Another 5 years? Man, heck, what's it going to be like next year?
Yeah.
And then you start looking at the meat shortage stuff. We've got supply chain issues are starting to play in now. And then you start talking about like there's certainly a movement for forcing vaccines. And then, man, like I believe vaccines are a good thing. The concept of vaccines is good, but man, I don't want anybody to be forced to something, especially when like talk about the COVID vaccine's not going to have the time to be tested.
I know.
And I'm like, I got real concerns about all. They're putting chips in people. I know that's getting talked about. And I'm like, man. Or we talk, what was the Californian county that made the comment about removing people from homes if they didn't have enough
Ventura. But apparently that's in all the counties in California. Yeah. That's not, I mean, they were the ones that came out and said it, but apparently all the counties have that written in the plans or whatever. But, here's my point. Again, you come to my house, you better have a warrant because I do not have to let you in. You do not get to come into my home without a warrant to inspect my home, because that's they were saying. They're like, oh, if there's not enough bathrooms, because the sick person's got to have their own bathroom. They basically got to be quarantined from all the people. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have the right to come into my house. And COVID-19 does not give you the authority to come into my house without a warrant, period.
Exactly right. Yep. Exactly.
I get to defend my castle. That's actually legal to defend my castle.
But unfortunately, I think most people don't understand that, like, if they want to come inside, they've got to have a warrant. And even if they do, you don't have to answer questions. You do not have to say anything to cops, right? All you have to do is like, I don't answer questions. It's the best thing you can do. Say it nicely. Like, I don't answer questions. Like, why don't you answer questions? I don't answer questions. Yeah. Like, you can be nice and you can just let them know, because even if they mean well, which if they're at your house for that, they don't mean well. But even if they do, you can get into trouble accidentally. You could be doing nothing wrong. They can ask a question, can get you in so much trouble if you answer it. They can misunderstand you. They can misquote you. But if the only thing they have to write down is that he's just not answering questions, you're in a lot better shape. Yeah. So don't let anybody in without a warrant. We've talked to our kids about that. Like, doesn't matter if he's wearing a uniform. He's not allowed to come in. Don't let him in without a warrant. Don't answer any questions.
I told you we had something happen at a neighbor's house, and later at night, cop comes knocking on our door. Sheriff, because we're in an unincorporated part of the county, so we got the sheriff. Sheriff comes knocking on the door. My dog is like barking like crazy, and the sheriff goes, "Hey, can I come in?" I'm like, "Hold on a second, let me put my dog out." I'm like, he's not coming in, right? But that was my excuse. Let me go put the dog away. I put the dog away. I come back. I open up the door. I actually open it wide so that way it doesn't look like I have anything to hide, because I have literally a wall right behind my door. So it's not like you could see anything inside my house anyway. Mm-hmm. And I stepped outside.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not coming in my house. Not without a warrant. And then, he's like, oh, there was a robbery. We want to know if you saw anything, blah, blah, blah. Turns out he was still lying to me. It wasn't a robbery. It was a potential molestation of a minor, which I get, but still, it's like, I don't trust you. And now I find out you even lied to me.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
And they're allowed to do that. And they do it. We had a situation, actually, a lady in our church was talking about, she's, sweet. She's a grandma. And she's, she sees all these cop cars outside, and she steps outside. I won't mention the name of the city, but it'd be fun to give them a hard time if I ever felt like it. And they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're like, "Well, some guy had stolen a car, but don't worry, we got him. He's apprehended." She's like, "Cool, all right. Well, anyway, it's like a lot of people for one guy, but all right." So she goes back inside. Next thing, she turns around and they're running through backyards. The cops are pulling open trash cans, whatever, looking, and she's like, "What's going on?" They're like, "He got away." They had him apprehended in the backseat of the cop car. And he gets away. Some little Hispanic dude here in Northeast Ohio.
Have you seen that video on Facebook where it's like this really, really athletic black guy in a neighborhood where, I could only imagine it's got to be like Bronx or something like that, because it looks really crowded. I mean, it could have been Chicago, because it looks like an urban, very crowded neighborhood.
Yeah. Little
wire cyclone fences, not the tall ones, but the ones that are hip height.
Yeah.
And so they took Super Mario Brothers sound effects, and you just hear it. It's like, doink, doink, because he's the cops are chasing him. He's jumping over the fences.
He's jumping right over.
Awesome. And the cops are just keep chasing him. And he just goes around, comes back, goes around, comes back. And it's hilarious.
One of my favorites is I think there's a couple of them, but it's the naked dude who the cops are trying to arrest, and there's 6 of them, and I don't know if he's greased himself or something, but they'll be piled all over him, and he'll just squeeze out and keep running, and it's hilarious. And this is they're really trying to arrest this dude, and he just keeps getting away. That's awesome.
There's one in Southern California here where it's late at night, car chase. Whenever the car chases happen in Southern California, they get a helicopter on it. That thing's going on the news. They're stopping whatever show, because we all just sit there and watch to see what's going to happen. Finally, they stop the dude. He's on an overpass or something like that. Lights on him. They tell him to get out of the car, put your hands on your head. He's got his hands on his head. They tell you, get down on your knees. And all of a sudden you see him just start breakdancing, with his hands on his head and his feet. And it is just hilarious.
That's awesome.
And the cops still won't go up to him, right? Because you don't know. He could have a gun. He could just be doing that and have a gun, and all of a sudden shooting at you. So, but it was absolutely.
Well, let's just say a friend of Leroy's it works for the Secret Service, and had a situation where a naked guy is running towards the White House. And the agents look at each other, and they pretty quickly deem that this guy is not a real threat. I mean, he's completely naked. He doesn't have anything. We can see him from all sides. But nobody wanted to go and tackle him, because nobody wants to go and tackle a naked dude. Right. So there was this little brief pause about who's gonna do this. That kind of stuff cracks me up, man. It's I feel bad, because whoever's doing that, I feel bad for them, because there's probably some kind of a mental disorder going on, and that's heartbreaking. But some of the stories they have really crack me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
It is.
So hey, the GS9 or GST9, whatever they called it. Remember that gun, that 80% pistol that we reviewed several months ago, maybe tail end of last year?
Yeah.
They started shipping.
Nice.
And I'm telling you, that thing looks gorgeous. If if we didn't have to register them here in California, I would probably be inclined to pick one up. But I don't want to register anything with California, so I'm not.
I tell you what, it's a good time. The price of 80%, or for lack of a better term, 80% pistol builds. I mean, you can do the whole build for under $600 now. Like you can, and you're getting a pretty decent gun. Like, I mean, it's not the same as getting your like Glock, from the factory. Like there's margin for error, but talking about some halfway decent guns you can get for pretty cheap and totally.
I can honestly tell you, my 80%ers, I had, I don't know, maybe 6 of them. I never had a single problem, misfire, anything with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like they had to change it enough so they didn't violate Glock's trademark and patents and stuff like that, which is why they all have the 1911 pistol grip on it, because Glock has their own unique angle, I should say, grip angle. And I never had a problem. So, I mean, you're drilling out 3 holes and then what is it, like 2 little pieces of no, I guess a little bit more than that, but you're drilling out very little. Like
very, very little. Yeah.
Today, the chances of messing it up are very, very slim.
Well, they essentially come in a jig. And a lot easier. I think a lot of times we think of an 80% AR lower, and there's more time, more effort, really more tools involved in getting an 80% AR lower. But for one of these pistol ones, man, we're talking about a lot less time, a lot less work. It's not too bad, man. So
yeah, I would say I got it down to maybe 30 minutes. I could do an 80%er and finish it off.
That's pretty good.
An AR took me probably between 45 minutes to maybe an hour. And you're right. It's more tools, right? Because I use the router, right? Because they've got different types of jigs that you can use. And I used a router to drill mine out. And I blew through so many bits. Like if you don't do it right, you can blow through a bit and then you got to wait for another bit to come in. So that way you can drill it out. And then of course, when they made all that stuff illegal in California, unless you got it registered, I got rid of them all because I didn't want to register anything with California. And I didn't want to commit any firearms felonies in California because they are pretty ruthless here. I would really like to make a 2011 only because they're so expensive to buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like $3,000 to $5,000 to buy one or, $2,000 to make one.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's something about making something on your own that's just cool too, man. This is something.
If you could get a lot of guys use 2011s in competitions, right? Because they're just so heavy, very little recoil. A lot of guys use 40 caliber. 9mm are starting to make it in. But, you got the double stack of a 1911 and the heaviness of the gun helps lower the recoil. It's a great firearm for that. But I'm looking at it going, okay, but if I made a 2011, do I really want to use that in competition?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a professional gunsmith. So do I want to take a chance that I screw up or, it's not as good as an STI that I could buy for $3,000. It's competition. You want to win. Yeah.
I'm with you. You're going to want to do the best you can with something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's actually a competition going on tonight that I haven't signed up for it yet. I was thinking about it and I'm like, I haven't shot my Glock 34 in a while. And gosh, man, it is a competition. I do like to shoot the Glock 34 at competition.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man.
I don't know. I haven't decided yet if I'm going yet.
That's cool, man. I think that's awesome. You should do it. Get out and shoot, man.
I know. It's fun.
Go for it. Well, I had some fun. This is not your typical what we would talk about on this show, but I had some fun with just a Ruger bolt action 22 LR. What do they call it? A Ruger American, whatever. It hit me. A buddy of mine got a Savage in 308. And then he talked his brother into getting one of the Ruger Americans in 22 LR. So what you essentially have is the same gun in a 22 LR. And they were thinking like for training and whatever, and it's just nice to have. I tell you what, man, I had so much fun plinking with that little bolt action. And so if I'm thinking about some of our listeners out there that maybe you haven't done the ubiquitous 22 in your setup, man, for like $200, get yourself a stinking 22 LR and bolt action and have fun all day long. Excuse me. If you want to step it up a little bit, get yourself the good old Ruger 1022. But man, I just got to tell everybody, I had some good fun. And
that's what I got my son was a bolt action 22.
Yeah,
because I wanted him to learn how to aim. Because the problem with the semi-automatic, especially for a kid, is all I got to do is pull the trigger.
Yep.
And then they're not even they're not learning how to aim or anything. They're just pulling the trigger really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted him to actually learn how to aim. So that's why I wanted a bolt action.
It's a good way, man. Well, and there was something about the rhythm of it. There's a ritual in every time and cycling one out, another one in. There was something about that, man, that made me concentrate a little bit more. And it'd been a while, honestly, since I'd shot a bolt action rifle. I can't even remember. It's been a couple of years because that's just not what I normally shoot. There was something about what it forced me to do in rifle aiming. And so talk about a fun, man, for $200 or whatever it is, it's under 250 most of the time. See what you can do. Get one of those. I'm recommending that for some guys. Obviously you need your AR or whatever first, but it's just a good fun thing to have.
I was watching some videos yesterday. Like everyone else right now, we got to do church online, right? So I got YouTube on the big TV, and I think it was either before church or, it had to have been before church. So I'm watching gun videos because, nothing gets you in the mood more to worship God than to watch some gun videos, I guess. And they were making, Springfield was doing a video selling their St. Victor pistol in .308. And I was like,
"Oh my,
dude!" And it's a video, and I'm like, "How do they have so little recoil?" Either they made their own ammo just for this. I mean, they're praising all of their muzzle brake and all that stuff. So maybe, I don't know, right? Because I haven't shot it. We can't have pistols here in California, like we already talked about. So I can't buy that. But I'm like, dude, a .308 in pistol. I kind of like that. I kind of want that, to be honest.
Buddy of mine has a .308 and pistol, and it is pretty cool.
Really?
It's pretty cool.
What do you like better, the Honey Badger or that?
Well, so it's hard to compare them because the Honey Badger, you have this wonderfully appointed setup with your trigger. There's all these other things. But if we're talking about an AR pistol in 300 blackout or .308, I'm probably still going to lean towards the .308 if I'm being honest. But if it's a Honey Badger compared to a standard AR pistol, and we haven't done anything tricky with the trigger, I'm probably still going to lean towards the Honey Badger. The Honey Badger is a work of art. Like, that's, put aside everything else, it's a work of art. It's everything from the trigger to the look of the thing to the proprietary stock on the thing. Like, everything about it is just special. And so it's more about it being a work of art. As far as practical, rugged, gonna use this thing my whole life and maybe defend my family with it, pistol in .308, it's gonna do some good. Because you start talking about that, it's gonna just have some power behind it. Yeah. I don't know about velocity though. On like the maximize the .308 round, I forget what the barrel length has to be to really get the most out of it. So you're not going to get the most out of it with a pistol, but it's going to make some holes, man.
I don't know. I had a .308 in a rifle with an 18-inch barrel, and I'm telling you, man, I'd fire that and the recoil would be off. I'm like, how can you make that in a pistol? I don't know, man. Maybe it was just the one that I had. I don't know.
Yeah, my buddy's the one he was firing. Man, I don't remember him even complaining. I was watching him shoot it. I didn't notice anything. I might have shot it. Like, how you shoot like so many in a day and you don't remember what all you shot.
Yeah.
I might have shot, like, I don't remember it being an issue. So I don't know. Now I know he was having to be real careful what kind of springs he had and everything. So I wonder if type of spring might make a difference in that. I mean, I know it would. I just don't know what kind of spring you're putting in there. But I know he was tinkering with different type of spring systems.
Because that's the one thing, I mean, when you start doing an AR-15, that thing has got so little recoil. Because think about it, it's a 22 caliber bullet. I mean, it's 223. It's basically a 22 caliber bullet, just a little bit longer than your 22 LR, and obviously a lot more powder in it. There's like no recoil on that. Like I got a Springfield Saint. I've got several of those. And I got a 300 blackout, and I love the 300 blackout. But I mean, again, that's kind of pricey, so you don't want to shoot it a lot because it's like, it's expensive. Same thing with the 308. But the 308, it's just, for me, mine, the one that I had, I should say, was so stinking, so much recoil on it that I almost can't imagine shooting that as a pistol. But again, I don't know if it was just mine. I don't know if mine just had more recoil.
I've got, that's the kind of thing I'd want to get to the range and tinker with that a little bit. But so can I mention one last thing before we jump off here? Because I know we got to go. I want to just make a little case for, as we're talking about guys who are thinking about getting their one and only AR. I'm starting to look at, like, man, the optics you put on that matter a lot. And I keep seeing good stuff out of Vortex Strike Eagle. I've got one. Had a buddy of mine put one on his. He's got a different kind of gun than mine, but same kind of idea. As far as an all-around, you can plink with the thing. You can shoot up to like 600 yards. You get the max out of your close and long range. So I'm telling a lot of these guys, I know we got listeners that, they're not independently wealthy. They're not putting $10,000, $20,000 into guns over the next 2 years. They're going to be putting $3,000 or $4,000 in guns. I'm going to tell everybody right now, I am seeing so much out of that Vortex Strike Eagle, as far as its just general capabilities as your utilitarian optic. Holds up well, does the job. If you're thinking about getting that first optic for your AR, I think, and if we're not, I mean, you're spending some money on it, but if you're not planning on buying a whole bunch of other optics and you're not going to have 5 or 6 different ones for your different ARs, get yourself Vortex Strike Eagle. Just felt like I'd lay that out there. I think that's something important for our people.
I got to check that one out. I use SIG's Romeo 5, I want to say it is. It's a red dot. It's relatively, I mean, in the red dot world, it's relatively inexpensive. I want to say I spend maybe $139, and I've got one on all of my rifles because I didn't want to have to relearn, right? A different optic.
I understand
so it's like, look, it's inexpensive. I know how to use it. I use it all the time. So I'm just going to put that on all my rifles. So if I have to like go to a rifle real quick, boom, that's the one that's on there. It's really good. The thing that I like about it the most is you don't turn it on. If there's no movement after so many hours, it automatically turns off. And then as soon as there's movement, it automatically turns on. So that saves battery life. Because that was the thing with me. I bought a Vortex red dot. I don't remember which one it was. I don't even remember which rifle I've got it on right now. And the thing that I hate about it, first of all, it's huge. So it's really heavy. And then you stick that thing on, but you got to turn it on. So if I'm in a situation where it's like you got to grab the gun real quick. Wait, hold on, please, sir. I need to turn on my sight, my red dot. Okay, now we can go. I mean, it doesn't work.
Yeah. See, this is why I like the Strike Eagle. So first of all, you have it's an laser etched reticle on it. Okay. Right. So off or on, you've got a reticle. You've got where you can squeeze it all the way back to just zero, no magnification at all. It's just whatever, wide enough to where like I can have both eyes open and I can look through that thing, and I've got, I'm not having to like, cover an eye or whatever is the temptation when you've got the zoom on it. But on that same thing, I can dial up to, depending on which one you get, up to about 8 magnification, 9 magnification. So that means I can use that as my close range gun in almost any scenario. Or if I need to put a round 600 yards out on a man-sized target, one of those like steel AR-500 targets, I can do that too. And as far as just being able to, it allows you to get both the close range and mid-range value of an AR. And man, it's holding up well. So I'm just making that little public service announcement because I've been using mine and loving it, and had the chance to see what one of those is doing on somebody else's, and I'm like, it's not just me. This is everybody. So good stuff, man.
Cool.
Yeah. So hey, can I give my plug?
Absolutely.
Lake Erie Arms is just treating us right, man. They continue to get cool guns in. We've got plenty of ammo right now. If you got the chance, get in and check out Lake Erie Arms. I happen to know they just got a whole run of just solid, steady ARs. So if you're looking to buy that first AR, you're not looking to spend a lot of money, you're in the $500, $600 range, and you just want a quality one that's not going to break the bank, we got a whole bunch of them right now. Get on in there. Also, if you want to get your super cool gun, you want to get your H&K SP5, we got that too. If you just need some ammo, come on down. Either way, check out Lake Erie Arms. Visit learms.net, where we got some extra special fun on the website these days. Get on out there, everybody.
And as we always like to say here on the show, stay strapped or get clapped.
That's right.
Have you seen the T-shirt, stay strapped or get clapped? George Washington, probably.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Take care, everybody.
See you later.
You've been listening to the From Concealment Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams. Be sure to tune in next week for more gun talk. Also, check out the From Concealment website for more shooting-related goodness at FromConcealment.com.